which goes down in the bantamweight division, where we got Ricky Turcios coming in at plus 155, going up against Cameron Smotherman, who comes in at minus 180. Now, starting off on the Turcios side of things, he's on a bit of a slump, 2-fight losing streak. He's 1-3 since coming into the UFC. I know he has that win over Brady Heastan, but technically, that's not an official UFC matchup. That was an Ultimate Fighter finale where he was able to get that decision win over Heastan. I believe it was TUF 29 back in 2021, but he has been somewhat inactive. Only 4 fights in the last 4 to 5 years. 1-3, like I said, and that one win was against Kevin Natividad. It was a close fight, split decision win for Turcios, and he is a guy that often relies on a lot of pace, pressure, activity, but he's not all that accurate with the shots, right? I think the Ayman Zahabi fight, he only landed like 12% of his strikes. It was very inaccurate. That's why Zahabi clearly won that matchup, even though he wasn't, throwing as much. But that's kind of Turcios' game. He's kind of reckless, loves to push the pressure, tries to break his opponents that way. But if you are a superior striker, if you're a superior grappler, you're going to be able to contain him or at least counter-strike effectively and get the better of him, just as Bernardo Sopai did last time. That was about a year ago. They competed against each other. And then Raul Rosas Jr., who had a little bit of issues trying to contain Turcios early, but in the second round, he really got into that groove, got to his grappling, and eventually found the submission win. Turcios, again, very awkward, very unorthodox, doesn't really do anything by the textbook per se, but very experienced, good training partners. He's originally out of Texas, where he's trained alongside Alex Morono, but mostly does his training camps up in California with Uriah Faber and the Alpha Male team. Now he's going up against another Texas native here in Cameron Smotherman, who's looking to buck a 2-fight losing streak as he comes in against his fellow Texas native here. Now, Smotherman had a successful UFC debut when he came in on short notice against Jake Hadley and really touched him up. Nullified the grappling of Hadley, touched him up on the feet, stick and move game plan. Very impressive work from Smotherman, especially after losing his Contender Series matchup, I believe back in 2023 against Christos Charlampos, I believe was the guy's name. Got caught quickly in that matchup, had to go back to the Fury FC stage, prove himself, eventually earn that short notice spot and get that win over Hadley as a big underdog. But then he came up short against Series City, who had a great game plan to shut him down, and then he came up short against Ricky Simone in a short notice matchup. Now, I don't understand why Smotherman took that fight to begin with. That was a short notice fight against a, stylistically speaking, horrible matchup for Cameron Smotherman. A very strong wrestler, a very strong grappler, usually is the kryptonite for Smotherman, and that's exactly what you were getting with Simone. Now, Simone did a great job in the first 2 rounds implementing his clinch game and his grappling to really muzzle Smotherman. Got away from him in the 3rd round a little bit, but it was clearly enough for Simone to win those first 2 rounds. Now Smotherman coming into this matchup looking to avoid a 3-fight losing streak and probably, a UFC roster spot as well. I think we're going to see a very good version of him. I think this is a great matchup for him against Ricky Turcios, where, like I said, Turcios really struggles to be effective with his output, whereas Smotherman, very slick striker, very good with his footwork, cutting angles, pivoting off, counter-striking as well. That's going to be a big thing for him here. But the other thing that we have to be keen on is if his takedown defense holds up, because I'm sure Turcios is going to be looking to get this into the grappling realm. He's definitely a better BJJ specialist, but I think Smotherman has good enough submission defense to not get submitted by Turcios, and I think we've seen enough improvements from his grappling game that he can keep this fight standing where he can be most effective, just as Ayman Zahabi was, just as Bernardo Sopai was, counter-striking the pressure of Turcios, running up the numbers in that aspect, running up the damage on Turcios' face, and then winning this fight on the scorecards. Again, grappling is where I would be a little bit hesitant about Smotherman, but I don't think Turcios is as good of a wrestler, nor is he as strong as Ricky Simone, which is why I think Smotherman can stay away from that and look the minus 180 that he actually comes into this matchup with. So I'm going to go Smotherman and Smotherman by decision. As long as he doesn't have a hiccup in the grappling realm, he should win this matchup.